everyone, and welcome back. You're watching The Money Show on ET. Now, as we usually do on The Money Show now, it's time for our Spend with TMS segment where we give you recommendations and get you top experts on the areas where you spend your money, be it cars, real estate, gadgets, even holidays for that matter. So this time we're going to sharpen our focus towards realty, because we have had the news with respect to the premium cut that has come by. Based on Deepak Parikh's recommendations, the state of Maharashtra has cut down premiums quite significantly. This is a big booster for Mumbai, especially because, compared to all the other major cities like Bengaluru or Delhi, Mumbai actually collected the highest number of premium compared to other cities. This essentially created problems for real estate developers, which caused, projects to be stalled, and in a way also perhaps did put a lid on how much realty prices would fall. So let's understand the implications of this big move. We have with us a very special guest, Mr. Anuj Puri, the chairman of Anarock. Mr. Puri, thank you so much for taking our time today for the Money Show's viewers. To start with, let's talk about how will it benefit the real estate developer. What category of developers are we talking about that this premium slash would aid?
This is the premium, additional premium that the developer buys it from the government. And what the government has said is that the premium that you're buying from us up to 31st December 2021, we're giving you a 50% rebate on that premium. So what it is really applicable for new developments where they are buying additional premium. For existing developments, Mobina, where they are going to do one more tower and they're going to buy premium, or for existing developments where on top of the existing development, they're buying premium and loading that premium onto the development. Typically, we've seen that the cost of this is about 15 to 25% of the overall cost of the project. So, that's what we are really looking at from a cost perspective. And if you translate this into the sales value, then there are two components, which one of the component the government has said to the developer, you need to necessarily pass it on to the customer who is buying the apartment in this premium where we have given you a 50% discount. And for that, Mr. Developer, you have to bear the entire stamp duty. And the other one is the overall reduction, which we believe some of the developers will pass it to the consumer, and that's between 7 to 11% of the sales value. So just to make it a little easier for your viewers to understand, this is for newer developments. And the government has said is that we are going to give you 50% rebate in the premium up to 31st December 2021. But if you avail of this 50% reduction in the premium, then necessarily the apartments that are being built in that space, Mr. Developer, you have to bear the stamp duty, and the customer does not need to bear the stamp duty on those projects. Despite the developer bearing the stamp duty, still there is a benefit of 7 to 11% for the developer on the sales value.
Okay, understood. Mr. Puri, so, just to understand then that obviously if it's going to sort of make things easier for the, for the developers, could we expect property prices to now be capped to come down in Mumbai?
It's a very, very interesting question. I just think that the state government has done a fantastic job here. Right from the stamp duty, look at it, the December registration and the collection that the government has done by reducing the stamp duty. I mean, it has just been phenomenal from both the developer perspective and the buyer perspective. But really, the benefit has been the cash flows that the government has been able to secure in the month of December, which is one of the highest in many, many, many years that they have seen. So cleverly and really keeping in mind the way that the real estate market in Bombay was behaving, the government discovered that these premiums are pretty hefty. And ultimately the cost of these premiums, the developer is loading on to the buyer. So they have said is, okay, we're now coming in here for a limited period of time, not forever, for only till December 2021. We're going to bear 50%. We're going to give you a discount of 50% so that you can pass this corresponding discount to the buyer, as a result of which the real estate industry starts to move forward. And there are lots of other industries dependent on real estate, and there's a huge amount of labor workforce that gets employed, and the government starts to collect a lot of the taxation. Their thought was that if we are going to be able to bring down the premiums to 50%, at least new developments will start to happen in Mumbai. And the moment new developments start to happen, not only the employment and the exchequer or the state government gets the additional money, but equally the buyer is getting benefited, because they have said necessarily the stamp duty benefit has to be passed on to the buyer by the developer bearing this. So it's actually a win-win for everyone, for the customer, for the developer, and for the state exchequer.
Puri, by way of what you explained, would I also be correct in sort of coming to the conclusion that obviously, since it's going to make, or alleviate working capital pressures for the realty developer, would it also sort of encourage supply of new properties in the Mumbai market, perhaps in the future?
No, Mubina, you're absolutely right. That there will be supply, additional supply, which otherwise may not have come in. So, clearly with the premiums becoming attractive, a lot of the developers will be buying these premiums at 50% discount, and clearly wanting to start the new development, which otherwise, Mubina, they would have said is that, it's perhaps not worthwhile where the sale price is. And when you add up the entire cost, including the premium costs and the cost of construction and the cost of marketing, sales, and the cost of financing, really there was no margin left for the developer. Now with the premium reduction, part of that they are being able to pass on to the customer so that the customer sales momentum continues, and part of it they are being able to really take it as the profit with the enthusiasm that they're now starting to go out and build. Otherwise, we think is that the supply would have started to dwindle if this premium reduction had not come in.
All right, understood. Okay, Mr. Puri, taking into consideration everything that you've just told us, do you believe that now is actually the best time to buy a property, especially if you are in Mumbai?
Yes, clearly, Bhavina, we're seeing that. I think since October, it has been just fantastic, and December has been a blockbuster year. In my sort of recent history of over the last 10 years, I can't remember a December which has been so, phenomenal, not only for just the affordable or the mid-level housing, even for the luxury and the premium. It has been a fantastic sort of run the last quarter, October to December, but more particularly in December. And I do feel is that Jan, Feb, March, the way that we are seeing the footfalls at the site seems to be a pretty decent quarter. And Mubina, also remember, Bombay or perhaps Maharashtra at this stage is nearly 50% of India's residential turnover. So, it's really a bellwether. So if Maharashtra does well, the tendency is that the rest of the Indian real estate market starts to follow. So this is a very good thing that 50% of the market, which is really the bellwether for the Indian real estate, has started to move forward positively. And we do hope that many other markets will start to follow the same.
All right. Mr. Puri, I want to also look at this from the point of view of those individuals who are looking to invest money in the realty or in the property market. So clearly they're looking for two things. One is property appreciation, the other is yields. Now, from what we have observed, especially in a city like Mumbai, we've not really seen much property appreciation happen in this last decade. We've seen great appreciation, especially in 2000 to 2010, but since then it's been a bit there's been a bit of a lull. So do you think that the from an investment point of view, there's opportunity, more opportunity in smaller towns outside the metros?
So very good, Mobina. I would still say this is largely an end user market. If you are a long-term investor, then it's a good market for you to be here. If you're a short-term investor or a speculator, then I would say is perhaps it's not the market to come in. So I would say largely long-term investor or end user. The yields have started to climb up. Clearly on the office, Mobina, you're aware that it's 8.5%. Yields that they are being able to get it. Residential had really gone down to 2%, and in some of the metro markets like NCR and Bombay, it had started to come down below 2. We're now starting to see that it is touching 3, and in some of the tier 2, tier 3 markets, because the capital values have been very reasonable, the rentals have climbed up, and they are now breaching the 3 mark and going up. So really, the yields has swelled up over the last year and a half. But I would still say is that the market is really for the end user or the long-term investor, not for speculator or short-term. I would not recommend this market for them to come in.
Just before I let you go, Mr. Puri, since we have this opportunity to speak with you, what are your expectations from the budget which would further make life easier for home buyers?
So, Mubina, I think the government has done quite a bit. For the long time, we were thinking is that the government has been a mute spectator on the way the real estate has been as an industry. But we've seen at the central level and even at the state level, clearly what we've discussed just now on the stamp duty and the premiums, the governments are now looking at this sector, more positively and saying is that what is it that we can do further. I'd say is really 2 or 3 things moving up. One is, from an overall economy perspective, there has to be even more liquidity and job creation, because really real estate, we piggyback on the economy. So, that, as you rightly said, Mubina, is going to be one of the biggest challenges for the Honorable Finance Minister. And, that is where we are also going to see that how the economy is being kickstarted and the momentum that it has gained over the last 2 quarters, it continues. More specific to the real estate, I think one of the things that really needs to be seen is that these stuck projects, which brings in a huge amount of negativity, nervousness, and also the home buyers who are stuck with those projects. Many are in the NCR, but there are other markets as well where there are stuck projects of home buyers. What can the government really do to be able to, ease out that stress, move that stress? Bring those, projects to a completion so that the home buyer gets it. But more than that, Mubina, the positivity starts to come in from a prospective new home buyer.
All right. Well, Mr. Puri, we let you go on that note. Many thanks for joining us today on ET Now and, sharing your views with all of our viewers. Okay, well, on that note, we're completely out of time, so we will wrap it up. Many thanks for watching.